Hey, how's it going? This is Chad Warren. Saturday, March 12th, 2022, 7:29 a.m. Central Time here in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Hope you're well. So, I'm here to rope you into my cult. uh, what I mean by that is that, I have been someone who has always wanted to break out of the matrix. This is the zeitgeist of our time, which that is a Gnostic point of view. The Gnostics were early Christians, essentially, before Christianity was monopolized, turned into a franchise by Rome when it became the official religion. And we experience this more in a modern way concerning, I'm 45, so I grew up watching a movie like Tron, right? And so that was right in the middle of this transition between, you had Journey did the soundtrack, so you took the excitement of popular music, okay, and we all know whether it's Michael Jackson or any of these people, they're totally taken advantage of in terms of their management and these contracts. So the people that really make the money are not the artists, the creators, it's the people that manage the money, that know how the system works. So, and then you saw how Prince, that's why in the 90s he had that weird symbol as his name, because it was a way that he could make albums outside of a record contract by changing his legal avatar from his name to that symbol. And my point is that I believe that you really can't totally get out of that. And so I, as another way to try to leave the matrix would be, well, let's use this idea of online and offline, because we are so involved with the internet that I think that is fair. And so I've tried to leave the matrix of the physical world of a 9 to 5 job and all these things. And so I've ended up, even though I inherited money, right? So that caused me to want to do something more than just work a 9 to 5 job and to feel obligated to. And I certainly had the desire to. I wanted to make movies. But I have not felt competent as a business manager, whether it's having a small yard care business, right? So that when I did that kind of work, I could do well by myself, but then when it comes to marketing and hiring people and all of these other things, it gets too complex. So even though people liked my work, I wasn't able to make enough money to live off of that. And because I had bad credit too, and so I didn't have the money to buy all these trucks and trailers and zero turn mowers and all this stuff. Nor did I especially want to. My whole point in being free was to, be self-sustainable. And then another example would be, I live in this camper on a cheap piece of land, and I don't have utilities. I have some solar panels. But I live very, very poor, you know. So it's a weird paradox there. And as I'm 45, I have enough life experience to try to value accepting certain things as much as I still want to break free of behavior patterns that are not healthy. So I accept that it's such a deep core part of my personality to buck the system but not find the discipline to do that. Whether it's even, playing guitar, or I'm interested in drawing letters, sign sign painting and that kind of a thing. But it has this, and it's in my astrology too, that I'm dramatic. So I was born on the 20th of the first day of spring, the 20th of March 1976. And then of course that bicentennial thing affected me about all this American patriotic stuff as another example of a cult, this state worship, pledging allegiance to the flag. These countries all battle with each other, but they've all agreed to a uniform flag system that they're all essentially the same, and in Antarctica there's world peace somehow. These people have agreed not to war there, It's the Masons. That's the cult. We're all in these cults whether we know it or not. And then of course there's the whole Christian programming. So that's what I mean about accepting that I'm going to continue to be dramatic, whether I want to or not. And one of those things is I like this idea of trying to go far out into the natural world and develop survival, off-grid living skills, but then also to learn about new internet technologies such as the blockchain. Okay? And I think that again was programmed into me, in us all, by Star Wars, how Luke grows up on the farm world of, what is it, Tatooine? Whatever it is. And you see that stark contrast there between the world of the spirit world of the Jedi and then the artificial intelligence world of his dark father, Darth Vader. And everything happens for a reason. I think that as much as I struggle in life, I think that it is finally occurring to where these fantastical ideas of spirit and artificial intelligence and my desire to live a real adventure versus be a corporate drone are meeting with what we consider a consensus reality. So I will take you through this discussion that was sparked. Well, first of all, like the way I'm trying to make these videos is when I get that epiphany, right, that you naturally do if you're doing an activity, whether on or offline, that secretion of wisdom is gnosis, meaning true intelligence is not something that you learn from a book. It's something that you acquire through living. Okay? And one example could be, there's this, I forget his first name. It might be William which is my father or grandfather's name, William Anderson. But this his last name is Anderson, and he is into archery, and he researched the history of it, and he rediscovered that the old way is better, meaning, you know, a rationalist late 1800s type of way would be to have a book with diagrams: stand here, put the target X amount away, fire at the target, you know, real robotic. Probably like something in basic training in the military, that type of atmosphere, or in public education. But in history, people were on horseback and firing arrows at moving targets, and rapid fire, boom, 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 by holding multiple arrows. So this stuff is not known in the modern world of archery in terms of a sport, and then it's revitalized and rediscovered, remembered. And that's a lot of what we experience within this YouTube culture. That all kinds of people, mechanics and off-grid living people, depend on that as a way to make up for our loss of the fact that we don't go through shop classes in high school. That was all dying out in the early 90s when I was in junior high and high school. And so that's my example of gnosis, and that's what I hope to share with you today. And more important than just talking about stuff is that I'm going to show you the technological tools that would enable us to live in a real world on and offline community like we want to, based on we have things in common with each other beyond geography. And we are not depending on 9-to-5 jobs at corporations alone. We are much more focused on growing produce and raising livestock and trading physical goods, right? As much as we may also be interested in cryptocurrency, etc. So before we leave, I want to do oh, my dog wants to go out. I need to build a doggy door here. Let me let him out. I'll be right back. Okay. El Jefe, the boss, is outside in the snow today. So, what you see on your screen is an advertisement on my webpage. And I'll give the disclaimer that I haven't spent any money on this, and there's a potential to make money, but of course, any advice I would give in that regard would be educational in nature. And with the potential to make money, there's potential to lose time. You really can't lose money here unless you invested it in advertising, which is optional. But and I have not actually received the money yet from this, to be honest. It takes you're paid every day. If you, unless you advertise, I don't think you receive that money till like a year later, which is this $401.50. But you're making $1.10 every day for what? Okay, it's using a different browser than this. We're going to talk about the Brave browser here in a moment, but which is also, you know, based on the Chrome browser. This browser that you would use, it is called the Kiwi browser, and essentially all that it's doing is when you make your web searches, these people are seeing that data. Now, it's actually very similar to how the Brave browser works, in that what happens is this. It's like here at the Brave browser. Let me pull up my notifications here. You see these notifications? Okay, now this is the Brave browser. So this is optional. You don't even have to receive these, but I do because I receive these basic attention tokens, which are cryptocurrency in exchange. Now what these are targeted ads. So the Brave browser is a lot better and bigger, okay? But the payout that they're giving you for this data is smaller. Let's look at that. So these are the earnings based on those ads that I voluntarily choose to receive. And in the month of March, which has just begun, so I am, what, a third of the way through March here? A little bit more. So then, let's say 3 times 80 cents, so that would be $2.40 US. Okay, so then you times that by 12 and you get, 25, 30 bucks or something in US value, which is not anything very interesting, really. But let me go back here. Okay, so the way I look at it is people are already getting that data. Wherever you search, they're getting that. Now, Brave is better because they are protecting your IP address from the marketers. So the marketers get the data. Chad is interested in survival products because he's searching for that, but they don't know that it's Chad. They just know that it's this anonymous person. And to be honest, I can't exactly tell if the Kiwi browser does the same thing, but I think that it does because it ends up having notifications that come up at the bottom of the screen. And I'm interested in these ads, both from this company that I'm showing you here, which is called 5 Billion Sales. You can look that up. Yeah, so, and I think in a larger sense, what's going to happen is that now data is the new oil, essentially, the new money, the thing that has value. Like gold once upon a time had value. And so they're going to have to paying you for your data. I bet that there will be some kind of regulation for that to happen, just like they have to pay you to work a job. Okay. So, in general, what I hope to offer here is not as an expert. I'm more of a generalist. No, oh, El Jefe is so obnoxious. He wants out, then he wants right back in, and I'm going to have to let him in or he's going to keep scratching. It's the devil. Alright, so anyway, you can get paid for your data. It's already being bought and sold. I will leave a link in the description. If you want to investigate that offer further, feel free to contact me with any questions or comments about that. And then also, this is important to me because if we want to have a cooperative community, then we have to get away from being isolated on social media and being entertained by information and actually do things for ourselves and to, receive our wants and needs, meeting those through each other, and helping each other out. And that if you are somebody that's interested in politics, about, okay, these globalists run the world and this is all a lie about these nations and these wars and these presidents. Well, look, Uh, the Rockefeller said it best: competition is a sin. Okay, so the way the world works is that it's like the monopoly man in the game. They are concentrating wealth and power. Now that was with money, and of course now we're seeing all this with big tech and technology. We're essentially illiterate. We may know how to read and write words and speak, but we don't know computer programming, most of us. So we're essentially illiterate. So I serve more as somebody that can understand enough about the complexities of that stuff to explain it, and serve as an educator and a cooperator and an entrepreneur in that regard. And my goal is to stop us from being so isolated and to form these mastermind groups where each of us has these different skills that we bring to the table. So I act as a conversation starter, stimulus like that. Okay, now we are going to look at supremacy. Okay, so the Brave browser itself is serving this purpose of educating the public about the shape of things to come, and so that they are incentivizing you to use their search engine because you're going to receive these basic attention tokens. The company is comprised of people that have been working at these huge companies, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and all that kind of stuff, and they see the problems and solutions necessary, such as protecting privacy, that you don't get pop-ups. Uh, Again, your information about who you are is protected, but then imagine from the marketer's perspective, they don't like the monopoly of having to pay for Google ads and Facebook ads to reach their targeted market. So they are cutting out that middleman by creating this uh, group, okay, which is the same as a syndicate, okay? So that takes us to what is supremacy. So first of all, how did I learn about supremacy? I learned about it from this. I will show you. Okay, so this is just an open tab on the Brave browser. Now, it is not showing an ad here. This happens to just be a photograph, but they do put advertisements there. This happens to be showing you these privacy stats. I will leave a link in the description so you can sign up for Brave. But by blocking these pop-ups in these kind of in cookies and all this, they are saving energy and time, right? So these trackers and ads have been blocked 57,000. 1.58 gigs of data has been saved. 47 minutes of time has been saved since this. You can reset this timer. So there was an ad for Supremacy. Supremacy is a mech game, like in the old Aliens movie, where, how come I can't scroll up? Oh, it's at the bottom. That's interesting. That's an interesting web design, right? They've started it. I think this is different in this orientation. If you turn the phone the other way, I don't think it's like this, but this isn't, because you swipe down and then that's pulling it up to see the web page. You're starting at the bottom of the page. Yeah, the movie Aliens, or Sigourney Weaver gets in the mech robot, which is like the future's version of a forklift type of thing. Okay. And this is integrating NFTs, so that's a big controversy. I don't play a lot of video games, so if somebody, I haven't looked into it, I think I get the basic idea. There evidently is a controversy within the gaming community concerning NFTs, and I heard this years ago in regards to the company Electronic Arts so that people pay a lot of money for these games, 60, $70, and then this same kind of scammery happens within all this affiliate marketing where they tell you it costs this much, but then once you get in, not only do they upsell you for all these things, but in actuality you have to pay all this more money. Oh, well, you need a email autoresponder, and oh, you're going to need a website, and oh, and all this stuff. So I think that the basic gripe would be you're just milking me for money, and you're lying to me by not telling me the cost of this stuff up front. But I'm sure that is going on. But the basic idea, like if you look at it from a content creation standpoint, you will see that that's why people have podcasts, so that you can subscribe for a nominal fee, $3 to $7 to $10 a month for the content, just like you would for Netflix or whatever. There has to be a value exchange. You just can't give it stuff away for free, even though people do give free access to stuff so that you'll get hooked on their whatever. So it is essentially integrating the NFTs, which is a part of this. That's a non-fungible token, which is like a collectible, like Garbage Pail Kids or comic books. It is something that cannot be directly exchanged digitally for, like you can exchange currencies for other currencies. But this would be a way to make unique items. So there would be the offline online comparison of Christie's auction, right? And they've got a Pablo Picasso painting. And then you have the whole thing where it's well known that people are able to fake those fine art pieces. So this is having these designs that are supposed to protect the ability of fraud through tracking who had this collectible digital artwork, a ledger of whose hands it has passed through and all this kind of stuff. All right, now, yeah, I'm interested in playing that game and all of that jazz. But more interesting to me is if we look at well, I'll look it up here. I thought I had the tab open, but I don't see it. So type it in. There was a book that I read 22 years ago called Snow Crash by Neal Stephenson. Now, that was the cover on the one that I read. So let's look at that. So it's amazing to me to see that this blockchain technology, and we're going to talk about the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, or DAO, here in a moment, how that this is real science fiction, that all of this stuff is now coming true. So I want to encourage both the older and younger people than myself that, hey, we all have seen that when the first Motorola, not the first, but one of the most first popular ones was the StarTAC flip phone from Motorola, which was just like the communicators in Star Trek, and then we've seen all this continue in this path of things becoming real, which is a combination of the magic of words in affecting our reality because of how we think and talk, that's going to cause that to come into creation, let alone technology. Snow Crash is a science fiction novel. There is a TV movie in the works of this dramatization of this novel as well. Snow Crash is a science fiction novel by the American writer Neal Stephenson, published in 1992. Like many of Stevenson's novels, it covers history, linguistics, anthropology, archaeology, religion, computer science, politics, cryptography, memetics, and philosophy. So this is like a Bible of the, what is the word? Cyberpunk, right? So that was like, well, I lived in Seattle 20 years ago, and I would go to the Wizards of the Coast gaming store and play Magic the Gathering. And they, this is before they acquired TSR, the role playing game, but they had, what was the name of that role playing game that was cyberpunk based? Well, anyway. Like the Matrix, the whole world. And then it's an interesting time we live at now, 20 years later, because how many of us are really living the positive side of that Matrix cyberpunk fantasy versus we're just wasting our lives playing video games and watching YouTube. Yeah, there are people that make a living off of content creation from podcasts and YouTube videos, but again, what's the ratio? So I'm looking to improve the ratio of us being successful and happy through applying knowledge. In his 99 essay, In the Beginning Was the Command Line, Stevenson explained the title of the novel as his term for a particular software failure mode on the early Macintosh computer. Stevenson wrote about the Macintosh that when the computer crashed and wrote gibberish into the bitmap, the result was something that looked vaguely like static on a broken television set. A snow crash. Oh, I didn't know that. Stevenson has also mentioned that Julian Jaynes's book, The Origin of Consciousness in the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind, was one of the main influences on Snow Crash. I think that has to do with this idea that the mind of humans is, you have a lizard brain that is at the core of the spinal column, and then you have a mammalian brain, and then you have is that then what, a neocortex is over that, and then you have the bicameral mind is the left brain and the right brain. And that is a very important topic because it connects science with alchemy. Because in alchemy, it's like the yin and yang. Everything has a male and female essence to it, so that the male energy is logic and has to do with business. And then the female energy is about relationships and art and intuition. Yeah. And this is how we are taken advantage of it within the Freemasonic design of statecraft, so that here, everywhere, you have it broken down into these groups that are politically divided against each other, so they can never rise up against the people that run the cult by having a left versus a right. So that's what's dumb about getting caught up into your biases there, is that, well, you become the division of the mind, and then the cabal of organized criminals like the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, they're in the driver's seat in the CPU of the mind at the hippocampus and, the third eye, where the actual pineal gland, where the action's at in terms of inside and outside the body. And then, so what I remember about Snow Crash, the part that's connecting with what we're experiencing today, is that the guy, the hero of the story, is this Han Solo type. He wants to be independent, and he is a courier, and he works for a pizza delivery company that is run by the mob. And what we see is that it is not a world of nation states, but it is a world where what dominates are these private corporate contracts, whether it's person to person or that you are. He has like what we would call a smartphone that didn't exist then, but it was understood, and so where you are operating, it is a series of layers of rule sets based on like a turf gang war of these corporate codes, okay, that determine what you can or cannot do according to their ability to enforce that rule set on you. And what he learns is that he's going to have to cooperate with people no matter how hyper individualistic that he is. And then that's similar to the Han Solo character in Star Wars that ends up having to choose sides. This metaverse thing is coming, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Okay, so yeah, you can make sure that you have real world skills so that when the power turns off and the internet turns off, which I do think is likely to happen with this Ukraine Russia manufactured conflict, because they project all this they simulate it just like they simulated the COVID thing right before it happened. But you still can't get out of this. So I'm suggesting that the best way to defend against it is to learn about this stuff. All right, so that's how Snow Crash ties into the Syndicate being this NFT game. Let me show you a little bit of the white paper of that game. You don't need that. We'll look at this. Because this is, a white paper is what is given out to developers and investors, the behind the scenes people that make stuff happen that we're experiencing. So now we're up into this other level of reality. People are devoting their lives and their creative efforts, and they're applying their intelligence to be successful with this as a business project. And I'm showing this to you as an example of how I think that we're all going to start coordinating more. And I'll link this up to the decentralized autonomous organization here in a moment, and using this as a demonstration. Okay. Introduction, Supremacy Metaverse, a world of digital assets, gameplay, back-end systems, game economy, token issue, and governance. There's a timeline. All right. Introduction. Game studio Ninja Syndicate presents Supremacy, a series of metaverse-enabled games based on Earth in the year 2149, consisting of 3 different game platforms that simulate other parts of that metaverse. Action. Play through combat, resource management, player management, and traditional game mechanics. Economy. Play through a near-realistic economic simulation. Entertainment. Play via spectator voting mechanisms. Utility. Play via play-to-earn systems. Ninja Syndicate aims to create engaging game experiences for different gamers. Role-play gamers, spreadsheet nerds, strategy masterminds, or all-rounders. We achieve our aim by pushing the boundaries on how far game worlds can interact with the real world, harnessing the future potential of blockchain technology. So an aside would be that video gaming is similar to science fiction in that as we see, science fiction becomes science fact, just as conspiracy theories become conspiracy fact. And we now have the ability to use the incentive of gaming and making money through cryptocurrency, etc., is a field to get people into our cults, which cults form culture. Again, unfortunately, there's no way out of this. And I would say that in terms of defending against being screwed over, it comes down into talking about education, so that the best you could do would be to maximize the bipolar nature of learning through doing, and isolating yourself from outside experience. But then you also have to expose yourself to other people and other ideas and cooperate and access your group aspect of your humanity. But the danger is that whether you're reading the Bible or going to public school, you're receiving all this worldview that is using you more than you're using it. So that becomes a virus that possesses one. Okay. Same thing with the internet. Ninja Syndicate aims to create engaging game experiences for different gamers, roleplay gamers, spreadsheet nerds, strategy masterminds, or all-rounders. We achieve our aim by pushing the boundaries on how far game worlds can interact with the real world, harnessing the future potential of blockchain technology. About... Well, that's not cool. I don't want that. How do I get off of that? Ooh. Ninja Syndicate is a game studio based in Perth, Australia, established in 2020. Its team of designers, artists, and engineers have spent over 12 months transforming the Supremacy idea and bringing it to life. Our team designs, builds, and deploys highly technical platforms for business clients by the day. Specialties include data management, business analytics, and user experience. Our talented team spends time deep in code, creating and fixing bugs, building straightforward and complex game mechanics, scribbling down robot designs, and playing strategy games by night. About this white paper, it provides a brief description of the Supremacy Metaverse, its use cases and business proposition, including a description of Supremacy core game mechanics, game economy, and tokenomics. In the description, will have a link to their website and the trailer for the game. In this white paper, the term on-world means within Supremacy, any platform or mechanism designed to simulate the in-game world, including actions in the real world that directly connect to the in-game world. So it's augmented reality is another thing we're going through here. So just by using Google Maps and putting up your reviews for a restaurant, you're using augmented reality. All other environments that are not on-world are off-world. Just by talking on the phone or a text message, you're between the on and off world. Game assets are all the created, manufactured, or purchased on-world items. Digital assets are game assets represented off-world. Supremacy is a single game world comprising a collection of game platforms that interact together synchronously in the metaverse in real time. Actions by one citizen on one platform may have wide-ranging effects on citizens planet-wide. Each platform is designed to be played independently without the need to interact with other platforms within the metaverse and concurrently in conjunction with other platforms. The citizen gets to choose. Supremacy allows for both single play on a platform chosen by the citizen depending on their gameplay preference and cooperative play where different players simultaneously take on different roles on other platforms. Summary. Watch real-time battles where war machines fight for control for the battlefield and use your influence to turn the tide of the battle in your favor. Manage your citizen-owned syndicate to mine, buy, and sell resources, build great war machines and weapons, and train pilots to fuel the engines of war. Use intelligence, market power, supply chains, production strength, and wealth to control the global economy in-game. Take part in real-time battles by piloting a war machine to win engagements and control land and resources. Invest your time and effort into the means of production to earn your way to becoming one of the elite citizens of Earth. Okay, so we'll move on from supremacy, but I do want to invite you to investigate the game world of supremacy with me, and you'd be learning about NFTs and blockchain tech, because the mechs are going to be these items that you have to buy to play the game. And it would be a ability to use the simulated world to explore how a syndicate operates. I want to form a syndicate in the real world, and I'd also like to learn more about gaming as a pastime, as well as from game developers. So that's that opportunity. And then we will move on here to... let's see, what else do I have to show you? Okay. So, I've had this thought. Okay, so my goal is to develop a real world, modern version of the general store. The chief new concept is that it is connecting people to and from it's connecting people between the online and offline world, just as the general store brought goods to people from all around the world. And that is how Walmart started, as a dime store, which is similar to a general store. But we have these still today as Dollar General, for example. A general merchant store, also known as general merchandise store, general dealer, or village shop. And now that's similar to playing The Legend of Zelda, right? You got to go buy your items. Is a rural or small town store. I live in Arkansas. That carries a general line of merchandise. It carries a broad selection of merchandise, sometimes in a small space, where people from the town and surrounding rural areas come to purchase all their general goods. There are still places here in Arkansas where there are towns with no general store, which blows my mind. That I've grown up here and I barely know anything about hunting and fishing and moonshining and all of the crazy Wild West stuff. That is why there are more millionaires here in Arkansas, and I think all but like one state, like and there's all these super wealthy people that build bunkers to survive nuclear wars up in the Ozarks, and there are all kinds of hunting clubs. This is the duck hunting capital of the world. I don't know. And there are, just I was hearing from a neighbor, there's a duck hunting club that's over in England, Arkansas. And there's big money. People come from all over. It's one of the most expensive hunting things to do. There's all kinds of secret stuff going on here. The Rockefellers started the national park system, buying up all this land and all this kind of stuff. So, people used to hang out at the general store, and kind of like you see old timers up at the Hardee's. They get together people that were Vietnam vets, and they're going to have their coffee and read the newspaper and have a coffee clutch up there. So what I want to do is have a place like this so that people could gather, and it would showcase this ability. Let's say you could have a band play, and then there's SoundCloud. I'd like to have different televisions that were quiet, but you could tune into them through your smartphone headphones that have numbers on them. Okay, channel 12, I'm watching that TV. But the different TVs would have different things on each of them, so that, okay, this is Jared's SoundCloud music is featured today. Here is a live set, live stream of it, and you can purchase his music, and he's paid money to have that shown in this location. And then later this month, Jared is going to come play a DJ set live here that you can attend and that people can watch virtually at home. And then you can bring your items for sale, right? Instead of going to Facebook Marketplace, you can bring them up there, and either you could have done all the work through the app on your phone to put it online, but you could bring items there, and we could hold them there, and the person could, so that would give a safe place for people to do these exchanges. That would be an income vector for people that don't want to fool with that, but they want to get money for the items, so kind of like a pawn shop type of thing. There's just any of a zillion different things you can imagine through that. So the method by which I could make this come true is through your help and through the technology of a decentralized autonomous organization, or DAO. One of the major features of digital currencies is that they are decentralized. This means they are not controlled by a single institution like a government or a central bank, but instead are divided among a variety of computers, networks, and nodes. So essentially, the last industrial revolution of Ford Motor Company and such created corporations which had hierarchies with titles such as chief executive officer, all the way down to the associate. And you would qualify for a raise or a better position based on your performance as determined by a series of managers. And the difference is now that just as we looked at this white paper for the supremacy game, now we're talking about a network of networks. Okay, so that we see that computers are taking over humanity, and they want your data, they want every vital bit of you. So there's still going to be this exploitation of humans, just like all the natural resources are exploited. And no, those people don't care at all about nature, other than subverting it to their will. So all the liberal Green New Deal stuff is horse crap, unfortunately. But these are neutral tools, and the more that we get educated and apply them, the more that we can represent our values of conservatism, which would be to reduce your exposure to outside influences as much as possible. And so, that would be honoring the idea of sustainable development in terms of reduce, reuse, and recycle. Okay? Now, this means they are not controlled by a single institution like a government or central bank. Okay, so this is how Russia is able to avoid sanctions. So this sanctions don't work, and America is not in a moral position or in an economic position like it once was to really enforce this stuff on Russia. So that this war is all a scam, and the purpose of it is to reduce the United States, just like the purpose of COVID. The Great Reset is what Klaus Schwab, the head of the International Monetary Fund, he promotes all of these blockchain technologies, and so that is circumspect, but there's nowhere to go. You know what I mean? Like, even if you never got into the blockchain and you tried to just use greenbacks, well, they're getting rid of the dollar. The inflation is occurring. Uh, People are being debanked, right? If they gave $40 to the truckers' protest in Canada, they're having their money taken away from them, and that kind of a thing. And so that's another factor. You're gonna have to get to know about this stuff, whether you want to or not. But instead are divided among a variety of computers, networks, and nodes. In many cases, virtual currencies make use of this decentralized status to attain levels of privacy and security that are typically unavailable to standard currencies in their transactions. And also, going back to the general store, the old idea, everything old is new again. If you go in the past, we're already in the metaverse. So in terms of money, right? Like I said, you're not going to be safe with the U.S. dollar. Now, in terms of investment, it's always good to have a diversified portfolio, right? You know, so that there's no reason you can't and shouldn't look at the importance of precious metals, right? Especially since it's the big fad to focus on all this cryptocurrency. But I would say understand that's what they tried to do in the late 1800s. Is it was the globalists that told everybody to value gold and silver, and they're the ones that took it away. So again, don't get caught up in the left versus right. Get the way alternating current works is that the current goes back and forth between the light bulb. That's the smarter thing to do. It was a more uh, efficient system than direct current, which produces a lot of power that can become a threat in terms of being electrocuted, and it's too costly to send it further, and it's a much cleaner signal that doesn't cause spiking in as much as the direct current by using the AC, which Tesla invented, and that kind of a thing. So the way I understand it too, the Tao, is that it's like how America was supposed to be a meritocracy. Look, we don't care what race you are, whatever, as long as you do the work, you're going to be rewarded and not taken advantage of by taxes through the monopolization of capital by the royal family monarchy system. And so the information of the rules, the actual system, that's what cryptocurrency is about, is they're bringing normal, regular, low-rank people, the pawns in the chess game, into the game that used to be only available to the private Federal Reserves, the people that make money by making money. And so you learn all those mechanics, and it comes down to this alchemical thing, so that it's not that the physical thing is inferior to the concept, it's that there really is that's the problem with the discussion about money. Well, I want gold and silver because it's real versus those greenbacks that are fiat currency, or versus this cryptocurrency, which is a bunch of digital voodoo. Well, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, like, that's what this technology is doing, is it's harnessing the ability to pay attention to what you're paying attention to, right? Like I told you, you can get paid $401.50 a year by letting 5 million sales get access to what you're searching for, so they can send you relevant ads. And you're gonna have to learn this stuff, or you're gonna fail the test. I mean, Ted Turner, the Georgia Guidestones, Agenda 2030. They're eliminating all the people that don't want to play this game. You're not going to be allowed to be a part. You and your children are not going to be allowed to be a part of the future of humanity. So. So that's the idea of what a decentralized autonomous organization is that if you take the time to watch this video and participate instead of being wasting your time watching Alex Jones like, well, we're not doing anything, but we're just going to sit here and watch and see what old Papa Alex says about it, and we're not going to get really involved in local politics. We're just going to watch it, talk about it, and go live that. Those people are in the delusion world, right? So, whatever it is that you want to do, and if you, I mean, I can only talk to people that want more than what they have. If you're satisfied with your life, then I don't have anything to offer you. And you know, if you don't want to share your content or whatever with other people, then I don't have anything to offer you. But if you do want to create the world that you live in and be with other co-creative, cooperative people, then I do have something to offer you, which is basically to be a conversation starter that helps connect people within the system. And so I'll have a link to, and I probably a Telegram, okay? So, and this is an aside. I have been trying to figure out network marketing, affiliate marketing, making money online ever since I was 18 and failed, but I continue to want to do that. And so, again, let's talk about, I want to rope you into a cult, and the joke about that is that you're already in various cults within cults within cults, you know what I mean? Religion and how that is controlled for purposes of controlling people versus do they really have this personal relationship with Jesus, or are they just like, this is what the book says? Like, no, you can't just have blind faith. And that's not, I mean, if you think that's good enough, then that knock yourself out. But if you're unsatisfied, and that's where you get into the whole Gnostic thing of that Rudolf Steiner 100-something years ago, Madame Blavatsky, the whole New Age is basically just exposing the Western world to the fact that, hey, look, this is really what Christianity was before it got turned into this McDonald's version of itself. And that's what the whole, if you're a Protestant, right, that's the whole, what that was about. You couldn't even read a Bible. So you would be punished and killed for having it. That's why people went to Catholic Mass, and it was in Latin, and it was this whole other thing. Not to knock that, because the Catholics, a lot of what they have is that it integrated paganism into a new format when Constantine made Christianity the official religion of Rome, but then he remained a Mithras worshiper after that, so that it was all political. And then it's the same with the Catholics. That's why they have the Madonna, the Virgin Mary. That is looking more at the female aspect of what the Protestants refer to as the Holy Spirit. Okay. And then with the Protestants, you have the King James Bible, and then that's the same kind of politicization, corporatization of the faith, because King James was a Mason and a fag, and he created the Anglican religion sect so that he could get divorced legally. You know, he changed the law, and then the whole, the printing press was you know, the Bible, of course, was the most popular book. It's essentially like what we call the internet today. Okay, so in reality, this whole people being turned into robots was going on with the printing press in the marketplace of ideas. So that's what I'm trying to share with you, is that the same people that create the monopolies are the ones that create the decentralization. And by learning about this stuff and then experimenting within this and cooperating within these DAOs, we could do things like my fantasy of having this new hangout between the online and offline world. And I'd have to figure out how to make an app and a DAO so that that would be your interface with this, and you could develop your projects within this ecosystem that I'm developing for us. So thank you very much if you have taken the time to go through my epiphany for today, and I very much look forward to your feedback. And please be sure to visit chad-warren.com. Let's see what else we got here. This is my YouTube, which is for marketing, and I have a Neo Folkcraft podcast on Anchor, and I have a Substack blog, which I need to do more with that. And then my links are at LinkMe, which has all of your contact links in one place. Telegram is how we can communicate. And yeah, let's see, Odyssey videos, that'll be where this video will be. And here's a picture of my son, and we were eating, and then there's a band that's local here, and that saw him at the Benihana's up at the, what is it, a Wyndham Hotel. You Are Unlimited from the tea bag there. And then my friend John Thompson visited at, we went to the Four Quarters bar where there's often live music in the Argenta district of North Little Rock, and my son drew this and I colored it. And another company I would like to direct you to is Asante Organics, because by 9 in the morning we are exposed to, on average, 120 to 200 toxins by 9 in the morning through our various personal care products. And the solution would be to exchange those products for organic versions of them. This is a 12-minute tour of the company in a video, and then you would go to this site here, which is the online store, where you would select join and save, and then you would be able to purchase products like Electro Mineral Cell Salts, the finest naturally occurring elemental electrolyte, mineral, and vitamin C powder. Works better and costs less than Gatorade, Powerade, coconut water, and Emergen-C. So again, this is a good company about online and offline marketing for that. And you can just buy the products at retail price, or you can pay $30 one time and you get the website like this, and then you could just buy the products at wholesale, or if you want to share them with other people, you could do like that. And let's see, the next product I want to look for is probably like there's like a vitamin C face cream type of thing. I'm starting to get older, so yeah, I'll be looking at that. All right, thank you very much.